Budgeting alone is not enough. You cannot budget yourself out of fixed expenses. So I put it to you that the goal is not even to live within your means, but to live below your means so you can have margin. If I could go back and speak to my younger self, I wouldn't tell her to just budget. I would tell her to budget, but most importantly, protect your margin. This is how margin is created and this is how it's spent. E.g., you get a new job that pays better. You've created margin. How you spend it is you move closer to the job and you rent a more expensive apartment. You buy a new car to get to the new job, and the car that you bought costs you more. You just started the job, you just created the margin, and then at the same time, you start eroding that margin. Hi, budgeting moms. Welcome to our sip and story time. For years, I thought our biggest money problem was that we didn't earn enough. And because I've always loved budgeting, I thought the solution was to become better at budgeting and also to earn more money. But looking back now, I realized that our biggest money mistake has nothing to do with earning more money. Because the more we earned, the more we started to increase our lifestyle. Instead of wealth building, we were now surviving on a day to day, living paycheck to paycheck, and ultimately at the end of it, trying to get out of debt. And the crazy thing is that at the time, it looked like we were making the right decisions. If you're new here, my name is Thandie, and on this channel, we talk about budgeting, wealth building, and creating the life that you want at any income level. Today, I want to tell you the story of how we went from financially stable into slowly falling behind, despite doing what most people would consider all the right things. And if you're currently buying a home, upgrading your lifestyle, or earning more money than you used to, I think this lesson might save you years. Before we became homeowners, life was actually quite stable. We budgeted every month, paid our bills, and stayed on top of our commitments. We were not rich, but we were also not struggling. We were stable. And most importantly, we had margin. There was room in the budget. So if something unexpected happened, we could cover it. If we wanted to save, we could save. If we wanted to pay for something cash, we could do that. Life wasn't perfect, but it was manageable and it was within our means. And I've realized that margin is one of the most important things you can have financially. Then we bought a house. And honestly, it wasn't some reckless decision. We didn't wake up one day and decide to do something crazy. We saved, we paid the deposit, we paid moving costs and transfer costs. We qualified for the bond and our credit score was excellent. In fact, the bank was willing to borrow us even more money than we eventually borrowed. And really, at the time, we saw all of this as proof that we were ready for this home purchase. But looking back, I now understand something very important. Just because the bank is willing to lend you money, it doesn't mean you can comfortably afford it. Approval and affordability are not the same thing. The house was not actually the real problem. The real problem was what happened next. Around the same time that our housing costs increased, our lifestyle also increased. And this is where I think many middle class families get caught. I mean, we were earning more than what we were earning before. We were homeowners. We actually felt successful. And slowly our spending started to reflect that. The holidays started to become grander, the clothes more expensive, furniture became nicer, and lifestyle was goals. Nothing dramatic, nothing outrageous, but just a series of small upgrades that felt completely reasonable at the time because we were working hard and we deserved it. And honestly, because we've always managed our money well, we felt comfortable. Comfortable enough, we started buying clothes on credit. We started putting holidays on the credit card. Comfortable enough that we told ourselves we'd pay it later because previously we had no issues with paying our commitments. And actually, for a while, we managed. What we did not realize is that every year we are losing some margin. The bond took some margin, rates and taxes took some margin, maintenance took some margin, lifestyle upgrades, credit payments, and eventually there wasn't any margin left. And budgeting moms and dads, it doesn't happen overnight. It is slow. So slow that you don't even notice it happening. Until one day you are earning more money than you've ever earned before, but you are more stressed than you have ever been. Then unexpected expenses become emergencies. And you are budgeting harder than you've ever budgeted before with very little progress. That was us. That's when we learned the lesson that changed our mind about money. Budgeting alone is not enough. You cannot budget yourself out of fixed expenses because you've made commitments. You have contractual commitments towards those fixed expenses. So you cannot budget your way out of fixed expenses. You cannot spreadsheet your way out of a lifestyle that leaves very little room for breathing. What you need margin. Margin allows you to save. Margin allows you to invest. Margin is what allows you to enjoy life without reaching for credit. Margin allows your wealth to grow. And something very important to note, we were not living above our means. We were living very close to the edge of our means. So I put it to you that the goal is not even to live within your means, but to live below your means so you can have margin. If I could go back and speak to my younger self, I wouldn't tell her to just budget. I would tell her to budget, but most importantly, protect your margin. This is how margin is created and this is how it's spent. E.g., you get a new job that pays better. You've created margin. How you spend it is you move closer to the job and you rent a more expensive apartment. You buy a new car to get to the new job, and the car that you bought costs you more. You just started the job, you just created the margin, and then at the same time, you start eroding that margin. You started a new job, so you need better clothes to show up better. You are eroding that margin. Another example, your annual salary increase. Let's say it's around inflation at 5%. You get a 5% increase on your salary. Creates what? Margin. It goes back into your variable expenses. So you spend more on groceries, you spend more on variable items, variable expenses. You've created margin, but it has disappeared. Or you go get a better phone. So that 5% disappears into that phone. So you've created a margin and you erode the margin. Another example, you get a bonus and then you go and spend every cent because the whole year there's been things that you've been wanting to do. So you upgrade the car, you buy new furniture, get new bags, whatever it is that you think you deserve, you get it with your bonus. You had the margin, and this is how it erodes. Last example, tax refund. I mean, it's free money. Why not? You had margin, tax refund. Now you go and you spend it. I mean, if it's free money, let's just go on vacation. We create margin all the time, but in the same time we are creating margin, we are eroding it. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that you shouldn't have lifestyle upgrade, but what I'm bringing forward is that the timeline of the lifestyle upgrades are very, very important, actually critical. Why do I say that? If you get a salary increase, change jobs, you get a higher income. If you wait it out and you save for 6 months and you save for 8 months, you allow time to let the margin sink in and sit down and decide on what are your priorities, what are your goals, because sometimes lifestyle upgrades are not the priority, they're not the goal. So allow yourself the time and the planning to discover what's the next right move. Secondly, allow your money, your margin, the time to sit and grow, and then upgrade your lifestyle at a later point. I'm not saying never upgrade your lifestyle. If you have a salary or an income increase, allow the margin to sit for a year, 12 months. Save it for 12 months, then make an informed decision to upgrade your lifestyle if that's what your priority and your goal is. So I'm not saying let's not upgrade. I'm saying let's upgrade efficiently. Let's upgrade using informed decisions. Let's be informed in our upgrading. But ultimately, let's follow our priorities and our plans in how we upgrade. Wealth is built by creating enough space with what comes in and what goes out. That's how you create wealth. That lesson cost us years to learn. I started my first job earning 2,800 Rand, but I started really budgeting when I was earning 15,000 Rand. And the job after that, I was earning 22,000 Rand. In my next video, I'm going to show you exactly how I budgeted for my take home of 22,000 Rand at that time. And also why life felt much simpler then and stable then when I was earning a lower income. Thank you so much for watching. See you on the next video.